Welcome to the Titan of Tech. My name is John Barker. If you're here for the first time, part of my goal is to help technical professionals learn the business skills and be able to communicate your technical expertise, whether that's cybersecurity or just in any other tech spaces, back to a business outcome to help you further in your career, lead your teams better, get better projects, show your value to the company in such a way that non-technical managers understand what you are trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And one of the first things that we're going to go through today is how to calculate cybersecurity's return on investment smartly. Super short formula that anybody here can actually apply. So let's jump into it. So how do you calculate the return on investment for cybersecurity in a way that non-technical business leaders would actually understand when you go in and ask for the budget for additional tools and additional staff to help mitigate, to help protect and manage the risk within the environment that you may be protecting or helping protect as your function within the team? One of the first things is let's start with a very, very basic formula on how to actually just calculate a general return on investment. So you get the benefit from the investment that you've made. You subtract the cost of that investment. You divide the cost of the investment into that subtraction number, then times it by 100. And we're going to walk through that particular example here in just a second as how this relates to cybersecurity. So when this talks about not just treating cybersecurity as a cost center where most of your finance guys, your CFO, the CEO, the COO, who may not have any technical prowess, but they realize that there's nebulous stuff out there. Maybe they have a vague sense of the technology that helps their company function. And you need to sit there and start determining how to increase the budget and seeing that this is a positive way to protect the reputation of the organization. Use this particular formula when it comes to creating a return on investment with a cybersecurity context. So you'll take the losses prevented by cyber and how to determine what potential losses are within the environment that you protect. That's a story for a different day. But let's say that you've come up with a potential value based on the data you're protecting, physical hardware, reputation, things of that nature. You've come up with a number that if you had a particular type of breach, that you've had a typical type of cyber incident, you put a value to that, a very specific number. You subtract the cost of the tools that it would take to help mitigate that potential danger. And typically speaking, we're talking about things that are going to be high impact and most likely to occur within the environment. You want to start prioritizing there. So once you get your number for your losses, how much it would cost to actually protect it, subtract those two numbers, divide it by the cost, times it by 100. So the losses prevented by cybersecurity can be the estimated financial savings for preventing or mitigating cyber threats. Again, we talked about avoiding data breaches, downtime. Availability is a big deal when you're talking about the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Make sure you know those. The cost of the investment. So what is the total cost of the cybersecurity measures that you're taking? Tools, services, employees, training, potential incident response, bumping up your insurance plan, getting more staff, things of that nature. Now let's put a real actual hypothetical scenario behind this. So if you have a company that invests $100,000 into a cybersecurity remediation policy, you've managed to bump it up, and it estimated to prevent $500,000 worth of potential breaches within the organization. Take $500,000, subtract $100,000, divide it by $100,000, and times it by 100. In this hypothetical situation, that $100,000 investment that prevented a potential loss of $500,000 is a 400% return on investment. So if you're coming back to whatever your particularly own environment is, and you keep talking about hackers in the dark web and the deep web and IP addresses and hashing and encryption and things of that nature, a lot of times that's just going to go right over the head of whoever is controlling the budget, potentially the final decision makers, depending on the size and expertise of the organization that you work within. By taking these particular numbers and coming up with something very specific as it's laid out here, what is the potential cost of the breach? What would it take to actually prevent this? And what is that return on investment? Because one of the things that a senior leader is looking to do is manage risk. Some people are going to be very, very risk adverse. Others are more willing to roll the dice, and you've got to know who you're kind of dealing with. But the more that you can put quantitative, true numbers behind the situation, don't just make something up. I mean, there is going to be a little bit of subjectivity to what you're trying to do based on the threat that may potentially, or the series of threats that you're trying to prevent. You want to be able to show from a financial standpoint how the tools and resources and budget that you're asking for actually make sense. Your CFOs will appreciate it because you're speaking their language, and pretty much anybody that has a more of a business background will actually appreciate it as well. Because a lot of times, if you've ever had that conversation, you're all jazzed up because of doing some cyber threat intelligence research, and you've seen the other people in your industry sector have been targeted by a certain common vulnerability that's out there now. Most business people, their eyes will just kind of glaze over. And the last thing you want to do is start having a conversation. The moment that you see the eyes glaze over, it's done. Your day is done. Forget it. So you need to speak their language in the business terms to help progress you where you want to go. Until the next one.